Hi everyone, welcome to Phoenix Rising. My guest, a repeat offender, Mal,
Hi.
Mark Angelo Lyons, darling, dear friend, precious in my heart, professional witch, teacher, educator. My goodness, you are so many things. I can't even begin on this list.
I like a good title.
I
Professional
hear.
witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle Production since 1998, author of Words of Grace from a Professional Witch, creator on Patreon, patreon.com/Drawing the Circle, the Archangel of Lions, Mark Angelo Lyons. But you can
Inhale.
call me Mal. Mal,
Inhale.
it's my initials.
And definitely dressed to the nines today, my love.
Yeah, giving you some Mark Kent on the inside,
You
Mal
are.
L on the,
Are
Mark
you
Kent on the
flexing
outside.
for us also?
Yeah, sure. It's not exactly shapewear, but it's tight, so I'm here. I'm queer, and you're used to me. So let's
I'm
do
used
this.
to you, my darling.
How are you, sweetheart?
I'm great. I'm so glad you could be here
Me
today.
too.
And we've had to deal with interesting traffic today,
Mhm.
but we're here.
Tis the Hamptons, darling. Tis the
tis the
season. Is it the
Hamptons.
season?
I love
Tis
when
the
people
season.
advertise things on TV or wherever and they hit the market. I saw something earlier this morning, Hamptons Instant Suntan. I'm like, are you kidding? You know, one of the spray-ons, so you get a tan like you're in the Hamptons if you spray this stuff.
Getting
on you.
flashes of Mystique from X-Men, but we can
It's
cope
like,
with that.
It was like, okay, I need to just put the music channel on, kiss the cats, and tell them I'll see them a little later today.
So, what do you want to talk about, sweetheart?
Well, we chatted earlier. Mark does have his cards and his magnificent crystal, and something that has been coming to my attention a lot in dealing with relationships is this seems to be a pandemic, interesting word, of estrangements in families. And a number of my clients and people that are in my workforce, words are interesting, aren't they? That have estrangement in their lives with adult children that for out of the blue, one woman said that their son took them out to dinner one night. They both went to work the next morning. They came home. The son moved out. He said, I can't stand either of you. You've made my life miserable. I never want to see you or speak to you again. And this is not an odd occurrence, sadly, anymore. This is international. That's happening because I've done some research. And what is happening to these family units? Is this past life stuff bleeding through? Is it a form of mental illness? What do you have any insight?
Well, that's a large spectrum.
There you go. I'll
Is
be
it
quiet
part
for
of
the
the
rest.
divine plan, or is it mental illness? There's a whole spectrum of answers in there.
Aren't you glad I threw that in your
Yeah,
lap?
aren't you glad I use dial?
Yeah.
So I don't. I use much better than, but no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade. So let's talk about this. We're certainly going through a rapid expansion of consciousness on planet Earth, considering that even the word quantum, which is not a new word, but really in terms of now they name razors quantum, right?
Right.
Right. You know, like, so it's a buzzword
There's
now.
a drink quantum now,
Probably wouldn't shock me. So there's been this evolution of awareness and consciousness really accelerated, and certainly the pandemic and the social injustice and the school shootings and all of this stuff has really hit us where we sit in the root chakra. In other words, root chakra, you're sitting on it, is our tribal relationships in the world. So that's what you grow up with, not just in your family, but your genetic ancestry, your political affiliation, your national affiliation. Are you a Mets fan or a Yankees fan? That's a dangerous question in my family because so tribes within tribes within tribes. So considering, if you want to take the reincarnational point of view into consideration, why would you incarnate with the same people in the same roles over and over and over again? right? It's like, oh, by the way, my name is Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, and I am a BritBox addict. Oh my God. Agatha Christie and MC Beaton audiobooks, the Victorian, the Edwardian, because
Because it's resonating for
well,
you.
because it's, and why are people so entranced with Bridgerton? Because it's bringing back these tribal relationships about class, about separation. But the truth of the root chakra, according to Carolyn Myss, MYSS, who's a PhD, one of my favorite teachers on
Yes.
planet Earth, Anatomy of the Spirit. The chapters are broken down into the different chakras. The sacred truth of the root chakra is all as one. So that gravitational pull of that's not what we do, when there is something in the energy field in the soul that says, yeah, but no, this is what I came in to do. So if someone is LGBTQIA, I think I got all of them right. If they added another
then
one,
there's a
someone
plus
text
after
me
that.
plus. So that's a thing. And that's just the thing, learning to speak a new language. One more based in unity than separation. But then there's the interracial thing, you yourself, right?
Yes.
I've been in many, there's something I could say, but I'm not going to say on
No,
the
don't.
camera. But something about the entire spectrum of the homo rainbow I have hung out with. That's a nice way to say it, hooked up with.
Yeah.
So equal opportunity, whatever. So where does that stuff start? Now, until we get to a place psychologically where we can say, okay, this is my stuff. I am an immortal soul that was chosen to play the role in this family, in this tribe, in order so that I will have some gravitational pull to fight against, to push against, like resistance training.
You're doing your Wonder Woman, Bryce,
Oh,
you know that.
Themyscira now. Can't help it. Can't help it. Wonder Woman at heart. So of course the challenges of the individual versus the tribe are huge right now on planet Earth. The rights of the individual, but for the good of all. How do you balance the individual right for the well-being of all? We've never really had to do that before.
You know what just came to mind, and I'm sure it was planted there? The clan of the cave bear.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, Daryl Hannah was an interesting casting choice, but I loved her anyway.
I don't remember the movie, but I do remember the books. It was a
Oh,
trilogy.
okay. Yeah.
It was a trilogy.
Ayla.
And Ayla.
Mhm.
And she was misplaced. So there she was trying to survive, and that woman that took her to be her child had to have her somehow fit into the tribe. And I don't remember the name of the character that played the head of the clan, but he despised her because she looked different.
Well,
They were dark and she was fair and blue-eyed, and here we go from the beginning of time, which who knows where that ever was, if it ever was a beginning of time, that people's prejudices, judgments, separations.
ancient.
Yes.
It's
So
tribal.
ancient.
The root
Yes.
chakra, got to survive. Now,
Yeah.
if you know the story of Clan of the Cave Bear, which I can't remember by rote, certainly, she did do the vision quest. She did
Yes,
dig
she
her
did.
grave and stayed in there for 3 days, the shamanic descent,
Yeah.
which unifies us all because everybody goes through shamanic descent. Crossing the river Styx to the underworld, I have the speed pass. You know, you help
Yeah.
people.
Dark
You're
Night
allowed
of
to come out.
Soul.
Dark Night of the Soul, which is a little bit different. More St. John of the Divine, St. John of the Cross. I always get my St. John's confused, except the school in West Islip. Which is why I brought divination systems here, so that we can really have a look at the different relational dynamics on the planet as not just as a planet Gaia, but as a human. We are divine beings with immortal souls on heroes' journeys in human bodies. So great big huge unity consciousness manifests a soul so we can incarnate in all these different lifetimes all at once, which is a little quantum timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly from my brain,
Yeah.
so that we can take the hero's journey, and certainly the shamanic descent, all of that stuff is part of the hero's journey, but in these teeny tiny little physical bodies, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So I figured rather than just kind of like talk about, because everybody wants to talk about relationships romantically.
Oh, no.
Well,
no.
but to me those
that's
are,
a very small piece of it.
yes, but they're the hardest because they are conditional.
Ah, yeah.
We're family,
We say it's unconditional, but it's not
but
so.
it's not. Touch somebody else, I'll kill you, right?
I'll break your
it's-
fingers.
Right. So,
Lorena Bobbitt comes to mind.
but that doesn't mean that there's not a... well,
Sorry, folks.
so many jokes, one-liners, so many. No, let them go. Delete. At least save for later. There's so many. No, gotta remember I was
Sorry, I
raised with
fed you
salty
that one.
humor. That's
Yeah.
DNA. So let's look at this. I've got 4 decks of cards we're going to be working with here today, and they're about chakras, a lot of them.
Yeah.
The Caroline Myss, as I mentioned,
Yeah.
MYSS, she's a PhD. The Caroline Myss archetype cards for the 8th chakra of hovering over the head, showing us what the soul power being developed, the alchemy from shadow to light led to gold. Then we got Daughters of the Moon Tarot, the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, spiritual power, mental power, choice decisions. Do you spit, swallow, or chew? What's the action you're going to take? And emotional power. We got the Mythic Tarot for the lower 3 chakras, root chakra, tribal relationship, second chakra, one-on-one relationship to other people and things, and solar plexus, your relationship to yourself. And of course, the best healing system I have ever purchased, the Matt Kahn Healing Mantra Deck. We're not going to read it from the bookie book for camera
He's
time.
an amazing individual.
And if you stood
It's
aside...
Matt Kahn, Kahn.
K-A-H-N.
Look him up, because you turned me on to him a while back, and he's just awesome.
Well, he's very Pleiadian, I'm very Lyrian, if you want to talk starseeds. If you put us side by side, you'd be
Yeah.
like, whoa, these two are opposite ends, but we're not. We're both serving the same, and he calls it the love revolution. I'm so down for that. I got a
Yeah.
nice touch of revolutionary in me. But I call it the manifestation of paradise, planet Earth. So, to that end, a way to phrase this, show us... Here, let me get the words. I know what you
Okay.
want to know. Take a nice deep breath. Still point. As I call upon the collective pantheons of the divine, what is the dominant 8th chakra archetype for tribal family stuff going on the planet? Root chakra based, but the 8th chakra soul pattern being alchemized from lead to gold, pain to peace. We've got the scribe archetype. There are 9 different families of archetypes. The creative family is one of them. The shadow is the toxicity, the lead. The light attribute is the gold. Lead has 3 more atoms than gold, right? So the shadow attribute. Altering facts or plagiarizing others' works. The rewriting of history.
That's happening big time.
Big time, right? Keeping the receipts. But the light attribute, preserving knowledge and information. So a lot of things are being whitewashed right now. A lot of things are being edited out. And certainly globally, there needs to be a recognition of the past, not that we be labored by it, but so that we grow from it. So I recommend to anybody dealing with any of this tribal family stuff, just journal it. Just give it a place to record your own experience. My goddesses, please. Ooh,
Somebody jumped out.
yeah, 2 of Cups. I'm not going there right now. This ain't a 2 of Cup reading, but let's see. Still point. All right, my goddesses, leave the card in my hand. Help us heal this. The tribe with the scribe. What's heart, third eye, crown? The internal world, the feminine energy. 2 of Cups. You saw me shuffle it. So this is about one-on-one heart stuff. This card is called the whirlpool, right?
Yeah.
So 2 of Cups dropped at separate sides of a whirlpool, swirling. Eventually they're going to touch, but there is this gravitational pull, very heart chakra dominant, that's moving us towards a more, well, there are choices. 2s are always about choices in the tarot. Maybe not life-changing decisions. So the emotional choices that are being made here. Let's see how this shows up in the lower 3 chakras, the yang, the outside world. Still point. My gods, lower 3 chakra, the masculine dynamic. What does this look like on the outside? Give us what we need to heal this on the planet. In relationships, tribal. 6 of Cups. A lot of looking back at how things used to be. We're going through an emotional change right now, but the decisions are ours to make. We're not done. Still point. All right, the Ascended Masters of Tribal Dynamics, because that covers a lot of ground. Corporations are tribes. Political parties, just the human tribe. All of that. What's the perfect healing mantra? Scribe in the eighth, 2 of Cups on the inner, 7 of Cups, 6 of Cups on the outer, which is also about emotional balance. Sixes are numbers of balance and harmony.
What you got?
Welcoming surrender. There is no problem, only destiny being revealed. Part of it is to stop looking at these things as only problems. The ego makes everything a problem. That's the human part of us.
Yeah.
It's a problem. How am I going to get there? It's a problem. The soul sees everything as a journey. So, for a perfect example, time. This is the ego. Time is my enemy.
That's getting you
This-
puppets for your birthday.
I should have been a puppeteer. My mother's a nursery school teacher, retired. Makes sense. Over here is the soul. This is time is my ally. Right? So it's the devil and the angel. Right? We're used to that image. But the personality can only hear one at a time. So it is that. Is
Yeah.
this a problem or is this an opportunity? Now, in terms of healing that, I think the more and more people record their experience so that they can see it objectively, particularly if there's rage. No one's walking away from family members unless there's a lot of pain and anger there.
Yeah, and they stuff it. Like with that instance that I spoke to you about, obviously this young man never spoke, I don't think he has siblings, but never spoke to the parents and said, I'm hurting.
Or never were heard. Again, there's always
Yeah.
many sides to a
Yeah.
story. So that would make sense, at least for the situation you've talked about there, for people to just write this down. Like sometimes it's write the angry letter, but don't send it. But the point is, if there is anger and there is rage, and if it's only destiny being fulfilled, then this situation is an opportunity to feel those feelings and express them in a healthy way, which I find through creativity and art.
Segue for a moment.
Yeah.
Isn't something happening astrologically right now about what you just said?
Well, and about the United States, we hit our natal Pluto, I think, today or tomorrow. So, 1776, July
Yes.
4th,
Yes.
Pluto is at a certain degree in the zodiacal wheel. Well, it takes it's the furthermost planet out.
Right.
It has made a full loop. So that's the planet of death and transformation. It's Hades. It's Pluto. It's the transformer. It's plutonium. So we really have the opportunity to either create or destroy. So whether this is racial tribalism, political tribalism, class tribalism, family tribalism, there isn't a problem. It's destiny being revealed, but we have to be willing to take the hero. The hero is handed fate, what they cannot change. And if they take the journey and do the best that they can alchemize their fate into destiny. So we're either going to suffer our fate or we're going to manifest our highest destiny. But with the infinite number of quantum timelines, we can only choose for ourselves. Because if we move to a more golden, loving, healthy, whatever timeline, we're going to get healthier versions of those people, but maybe not right away. This is not Bewitched, because if it was, this gig would be a lot different.
Yeah.
Right? So there is
Yeah.
magic in this, and welcoming surrender. Okay. So I would say to anybody, particularly the family, where if someone has exited stage left, so to speak, to just say, well, you know, this is their journey. Let me deal with what I'm feeling because these emotions were in me before this happened.
Right.
And if you're an empath, you can be feeling that for everybody who's feeling that way in that moment.
Yeah.
Good?
Good.
Give me another.
Perfect.
Let's have fun.
Give you another. Okay.
Something relational based or something, because everything's about relation.
Oh, it totally
You
is.
have a relationship to oxygen. You have a relationship to gravity. You have a relationship to everything.
So how about our relationships with ourselves?
In terms of?
In terms of being the best you could be each day, learning to either critique or criticize yourself,
So how
and
about
learning
this?
how to accept and love yourself for exactly where you are at the given moment.
Which is what spiritual awakening is right now. And to love yourself doesn't mean you use spirituality to bypass your authentic feeling in the moment, even if it's I want to burn down the village. So let's look at this.
Okay.
Let's look at this. Please take a nice deep breath. Say it 10,000 times a day. Still point. All right, the collective pantheons of the divine for the awakening of humanity. Please, one card in clarity, 8th chakra dynamic. What is the soul power being developed? In terms of self-estimation, self-esteem, self-love, self-acceptance, the furtherance of the awakening of the individual in order to awaken all of humanity and uplift planet Earth at this moment. The rescuer archetype, a healing family archetype, and we could talk about this forever. Here, sorry, camera one. Here we go. There, the rescuer, right? The rescuer, the shadow assumes the rescued will reciprocate, keeps the rescued one needy. You can see that happening in families, right? Particularly if you needed help during the pandemic and someone rescued you, but there's a hook in it.
There's a hook in many rescues.
Now, the light attribute provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. So that does start at home.
Yeah.
My favorite rescuer-based movie is Ever After with Drew Barrymore. It's a Cinderella story.
Okay.
But where she is the damsel and she's, instead of waiting for the prince to rescue her, she rescues her own self. So for one to rescue themselves, to say, I'm going to do my best here, I'm going to act out of love, regardless of expectation or reward, but it's got to begin on the inside. That's really the key, because if you're waiting on the outside for it, that's one thing.
I'm so glad you said it, because so many people are waiting to come from the outside or looking for someone else to fill that hole,
And
fill
yet,
that expectation.
the love that we feel is the love that we give, even unto ourselves. And that's big Matt Kahn thing, right? Put your hand on your heart and say, I love you 10,000 times a day to whatever arises. Love that. His books are amazing. All right.
Have you met him in person yet?
No, I'm afraid that we might shift a little too fast, right? Not at him. I think he's great. But, it might trigger a pole shift or something. All of a sudden, Arcturus is here on the planet or whatever.
Arcturus is here.
Hi,
Ta-da!
Arky. Please take a nice deep breath.
I take another deep breath, smarty pants. Yeah.
Still point. Still point takes me right to zero and gives me access to everything. So I call upon my goddesses, please. One card in clarity, crown, third eye, throat, and heart for all of humanity in this process of awakening. The healer that, we want to rescue others.
Yeah.
But sometimes that could be really toxic. Well, I know more than you do, so I'm going to rescue you. And that ain't gold. That is not gold. That's more lead than gold. So please, what do we need to know about the alchemy on the inner? For our relationship to ourselves during this process of great change and spiritual awakening.
Oh my God.
Cups again.
There we go.
This has got to be then about opening the heart.
Yeah.
But not expecting the 10 of Cups day one. Just say, all right, I'm going to get this going. I'm going to open this up, even if these 2 cups is, and this is very Eckhart Tolle, I and self. Am I 2 people? Read The Power of Now. In the first chapters, he talks about that. He says, I hate myself. Or I can't stand myself is what he says. And then he had his big realization, I and myself. Am I 2 people? And he had a big spiritual awakening. Well, this takes it to I love myself. So the divine, right, the higher self, the soul, the personality, and the ego. The ego needs love. It just needs not to run the show. So the personality saying, I love you to the ego, the lead. The soul always saying to the personality, I love you. I love you. It's easy. The higher self saying, this is all one thing. It is, you are love. And lovely Hallmark card. Not necessarily everybody's experience.
This is it. You are love.
But one love, one heart, let's get together and feel all right until Roe versus Wade gets overturned. Sorry, had to go there, right? And then that is part of destiny. Go back to the previous reading. Yes, of course it's a problem in the outside world, but it's destiny being revealed. What we do with this is up to us. All right, one more. Still point. This is big. My gods, please, lower 3 chakra, mythic tarot. What's this going on the outside looking in, inside looking out, lower 3 chakra, but really solar plexus dynamic. We've got the 2 of Wands with the 2 of Cups. It's up to us. It's the crossroads. This is Jason of Jason and the Argonauts standing outside of the cave of Chiron. Zeus, send forth, bring back my darlings, bring back the golden fleece. I don't know why I'm making him British, but I am.
Because you're doing your...
And he's in the cave, Chiron, saying,
Yes.
I can't take this journey for you.
That's it. There's something happening with Chiron right now.
Well, there's always
Oh
something
my
going
goodness!
on.
And I can't. Monty Farber had it on his daily thing.
Well, it's an asteroid, and it is the
Yes.
wounded healer. So this could very much be all of humanity saying, do I want to do this healing or not? Do I want to go into the cave and take the hero's journey? Or do I want to refuse the call and just keep doing what I've been doing?
So much healing happens inside the cave. The hero's journey, soul retrieval, so much happens in
and
there.
According to Madeline Miller, the author of Circe and The Song of Achilles, so good. I mean, fiction feeds me more than the news, obviously.
Because is it really fiction?
It's archetypal truth in there. Well, according to her, and I don't know what her sources are, but she speaks ancient Greek, so I'm going to go with her on that, is that Chiron's cave was rose quartz. So this is a real entering into the heart, but the choice is ours. We have free will in the game, just like a video game. Jump, fire, whatever that, you have free will, but all the choices are already programmed into the holographic game.
Yeah.
All right, one more.
Yeah.
Still point. The Ascended Masters of the Awakening of Humanity, which is pretty much all y'all, please. One card in clarity, the perfect healing mantra for all of humanity, so that we can be our own rescuers and help rescue others with open, loving hearts, even at a distance without physical contact, by really feeling what's going on in our hearts and making the most empowered choices that we can in the solar plexus to live according to who we want to be, not who we've been. Liberating love, I allow myself to receive all the fulfillment I'm willing to give.
No
It's gotta
coincidences.
start at home. So how many of us would just love to fulfill someone or something? You know, it's like it is the love we feel is the love we give, but we get a little tricky there if it's, well, but look, I gave you this love. Now,
So what
what
are you
have you
giving
done
me?
for me lately?
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, Janet Jackson.
And let
reference.
me stand in judgment of you, etc.
Because what I did doesn't equal, right? And that's the ego, and that voice needs to be heard, but it needs not to make the dominant choices.
Yeah.
So how interesting. Here are the key words. I allow myself, that word allow, I allow myself to receive all the fulfillment I'm willing to give, and in that we are doing the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine, the goddess
and there you go,
and the
making
god.
the beautiful sign of the infinity. You're gonna
Tut, tut, tut.
do a belly dance.
I really enjoyed the show The Magicians, if anybody knows
Yeah.
what tutting is. It used to be called voguing in my day, but whatever.
So The Magicians, and then there was, and they're coming out with the third or the final part in the movie, Discovery of Witches.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm them Brits. I guess I'm an Anglophile. I guess it's fair to say. I don't care.
absolutely-
Vampire, bloodsucker,
I
British.
just love.
Except I have girlfriends
that
over in Britain
trilogy.
who tell me that British men are not all that. I'm like, yeah, but Tom Hiddleston, they're like,
He
he's
is.
one.
He
They're like,
is
I'm
one.
one. I'm like, what about
He
the
is
Cumberbatch?
one.
The Cumberbatch, if
Oh,
he does
he's-
not have the otter totem, I don't know if anybody else should.
He is something
I
else.
love him. Unfortunately, he's happily married with a gorgeous wife and kids, and, you know, I gave up.
You can admire from a distance.
Yeah, and
dear.
Home Wrecking is so 1980.
Yeah. No, we don't want to go to home
No,
wrecking.
no.
We don't want to go to home wrecking. So here's a question for you. Do you find in this lifetime, because this is what we're dealing with presently on camera at this moment, this visual lifetime, that the things that we surround ourselves with, the people that become part of our present tribe, come from so many different lifetimes, so many different experiences? And how would you suggest to someone else, to someone watching that is maybe brand new to this way of thinking, to how to honor their instinct, their aha moments, their deja vus? Because we both know where we come from, etc. And for me, it was stunningly in my face when I went to Kenya a few years ago, because I knew even before I had met Scott that in the past life regression that I was in, I was somewhere in Africa, and I had beautiful dark mocha skin, and my husband was being ripped out of my arms by others to be brought to this country to be tortured, enslaved, etc. And I still remember, the goosebumps are still there, I still remember my screaming. And that was before I met Scott in the physical. So when I met him in the physical, I didn't remember that out of body, that past life, but I was silenced. When he stood before me, and you know me how long now, I had no words, I could not speak. It was, the remembering was so strong.
The soul doesn't say much. The ego.
Right. Silence.
Yeah.
So
So-
he's passed away a number of years. I get this gift to go to Africa, to be in Nairobi, to be in Kenya. And there was one day my dear friend Diane and her niece and I were taken by our driver to this village. And I'm not thinking about Scott, I'm just in awe of these beautiful people, of the music that I love, of just, I really felt so comfortable there. From the moment we got off the plane, it was like, I've arrived home. Not Israel, Kenya. Okay. So much for the Jewish girl part, right?
Well, but it's a soul
It is.
retrieval process. We have
So,
pieces scattered throughout time
We're
and
walking
space.
through this village, and many of the homes there are still mud and straw. There's still no water in many places, no electric in places. In one room, you find families living together in harmony. The family dynamic is amazing there. And Diane and Becca, her niece, are walking, and there go the goosebumps again. I am at this home, this hut, we would call it here. My hands are on it, and the tears are pouring down my face. That's where I came from.
Well, and it's a place that you've been.
Yeah.
So your
So-
question for somebody who's watching this to sort of tap into all
And
of
so
that.
many people say, "Oh, that's coincidence," or "You're emotional," or
Well,
whatever.
regardless,
So-
it's and this is my answer to it.
Yeah.
Two things. Number one, keep an eye to see what story you are in. Because there are certain archetypal themes that have played itself out. Husband and wife being pulled apart. Families being destroyed by an external invader. I mean, it's still going on.
And it's happened
So,
eons and eons.
so here's the thing. Once you get what the story is, like I dated, oh, please talk about Cinderella. No more Cinderella.
Okay.
No more Cinderella. No more waiting for the prince to come, just as one example.
Right.
I'd rather be the witch, thanks. And the femme fatale is necessary.
And you say that like it's a bad thing.
It's not, but you know,
It's-
we never.
I know. People say
The
wish
fiction,
like it's a
the
bad
fiction.
thing.
So number one, to really kind of get what story is this in? It's something Carolyn Mace recommends in Sacred Contracts. She goes, just catch, what story am I in? Snap in a lens. That's what I mean. Like where I am right now, they just keep force feeding me Edwardian and Victorian England, but how it migrated over to Long Island. I mean, it came to New York and Long Island. That was the initial. They didn't go to
Also,
California.
Look at your physical persona.
So-
It's very much has always been that.
So to take that into consideration, that we are cleaning up stuff, not just in our own personal soul journeys, but as one of us heal, all of us heals, then you could go, oh my God, it's the season. Or whenever somebody has that experience, just pull back and go, what story does this remind me of? What character? Who are the characters? Like, oh, there's Colonel Mustard and Mrs. White and Professor Plum. Flames on the sides of my face. Madeline Kahn, blessed be, one of my spirit guides, I love her. And then ask yourself, well, what is my agenda here? Is my agenda to get what I want? Is my agenda to play my role? Is my agenda to play my role wisely? And all of those choices may be accurate and perfect for each individual in the moment, but it takes you out of being ridden by the archetype instead of riding the archetype. Because when the archetype possesses you in the shadow, it's shadow possession, and you wake up later and you go, oh my God, what have I done? And we all say the same thing, I wasn't myself. Something came over me. It's shadow possession. It's like a demonic possession, but more from Carl Jung than from The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And so then to make the most wise, loving, empowered decision, right? Wise, loving, empowered choice and decision as you can make before you take the action. And that is often saying, okay, this is a past life thing or whatever. Because, I've worked with, I started my metaphysical career in the 80s. All right. I have seen a lot of tinfoil hat, woo-woo land, cuckoo. And people do really harmful things to themselves and others because of a belief in a certain past life playing out a certain way. We don't know. We don't know. So to say, all right, this is a clue, a tip, a hint, which is why I call myself a mystic first and foremost. A mystic is one who endures mysteries and follows the clues. That's why Agatha Christie and Agatha Raisin and Hamish Macbeth and Hercule Poirot have been, since the pandemic, flooding into my consciousness and then showing me now where I live on Long Island and being like, this is the gentry and the servants. This is the ton, and because it's so, they keep cranking out these Victorian, Edwardian love stories and murder mysteries. They're all over the place. Why? Because we're dealing with the illusion of separation, that somehow if you have more, you're worth more. And if you don't have as much, you're worth less. Worthless. And none of that's true. We're all one. So we have to choose little by little by little. It's not this great big grandiose choice. To choose unity and love over, because the opposite, A Course in Miracles says in the introduction, the opposite of love is fear, but that which is all encompassing can truly have no opposite. Meaning that it looks like there's a separation, but it's the illusion of separation, so how can an illusion be real?
Okay.
Have you ever played a video game?
Rarely, but yes.
Right, because now they got the ones you can strap on the tech and be in it. Well, it's like that. It's sort of like the Matrix. All I really want is to have a little fun. Sorry, Sheryl Crow. All I want to do is have a little fun before I die. All I want to go home. And I don't mean to Holbrook, and I don't mean to Saratoga. I'm moving to Saratoga in the next year or so. I'll be closer to my mom. Okay. I can drive down. It's a 5-hour drive. It's fine. Okay. But I mean home. Now, it's not suicidal ideation. That means I want to go back to whatever paradise planet I was spawned on originally, right? Because this is nuts down here. And that has created what is called a heightened yearning to return to unity. But I have it pretty much on my own authority in that way, that the only way to do that is to bring home here. And if you can get that, you can't screw up the divine plan. Now, the divine plan's tricky in a religious sense. But if you get that every quantum choice plays itself out some way. See, that's why I find divination helpful. Because you can say, well, what's that timeline feeling like? But still, you're the cardboard doesn't make the choice. It's GPS. It shows you. Right? But you can say, all right, so maybe this is past life oriented. Maybe it's not. Oh, here's from Matt Kahn. But if I had everything to win and nothing to lose, how would I act and what would I choose? He's good. Good rhyming couplet goes a long way, right? Forget one of his audios, one of his stuff. So how do we make the most wise, loving choices and decisions for the world? We have to start with ourselves. That if we are feeling depressed, that we allow those energies to be felt and move through us and not all at once. If we're feeling the fire and rage, the deadly sin of wrath, we can do this through the language of the 7 deadly sins very easily. What do you do with that wrath? Well, if you don't deal with it, heart attack usually, right? Hypertension, right? All that fire, all that rage.
It manifests.
All that passion, because it is passion. So to put that into an art form in any way, shape, or form, whether it's about Roe versus Wade, regardless of which side you're on, Democrat, Republican, social justice, no matter what side of it you're on, but art doesn't just mean performance art and visual art. It is about whatever it is that you do. This is one of your art forms. Doing this. I don't have time to set all that, but I'm on camera every day.
Yes.
But in my dining room, it's a little bit different. My art is as a mystical artist, that I'm just sharing what I learn along the way, and I don't need it to touch everybody on planet Earth. It does energetically.
You know what? What we do touches those that are ready for it.
It's like a frequency band on a radio. You can broadcast as loud as you want at 92.3, but if you're at 103.5,
You're not going to hear it.
102.3, let's keep it WBAB for a
Okay.
moment. I love my WBAB. Pretty much you can hear it island wide. Then get that people will hear what they're meant to hear. And there's always a higher truth. There's always a higher way of seeing it. So when people, because the ego learns spirituality and then uses it as a weapon against ourselves and other people. Well, I guess you didn't stare at your vision board long enough.
Right.
Oh, sorry, I almost did
I
the
guess
finger
you
all
did-
that.
I guess you didn't believe in yourself.
Well,
I guess
I guess
It's
you're
the
not in
same
as
as-
much alignment as you want if you didn't manifest everything you ever wanted. Like you could hack the universal plan. The law of attraction. I was raised by a lawyer. Laws can be interpreted in really effed up ways, as we've seen on the planet as of late.
And he's one of the best lawyers.
Yeah, I love them.
as-
I can't wait to see them. I miss them. And that's why I'm moving up there.
Yeah.
When I first went up there, I was like, this place is dull. It is. It's a little boring with the Wilton, Saratoga area.
Yeah.
But I went walking up there around the holidays, and I didn't know this. The mountain that they live on, the snow was melting and washing all of these clear quartz crystals on the road. And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
and at one point I went out for a walk. I was like,
You're spazzing all over.
and I got like 50. I'm like, hi. And I went back in the spring and they weren't there, so it must be whatever. So I took that as a sign. And now I'm very good friends with Veronica, the owner of Magic Moon in Saratoga Springs. She and my
You've
mom.
been doing readings there.
Yeah, and she's teamed up with my mom to find me the right house. So
That's awesome.
I'm screwed. I'm going, but I'm looking forward to it, because that may very well be where my destiny lies. But I don't even know if that's going to happen. How are you at enduring the unknown? Because if you're living in the past of how it used to be, which was what was in those cards, or if you're fearful or anticipating the future, point of power is in the present moment. Louise Hay 101, you can heal your life, right? So I would say to anybody who's new to this stuff, sure, go to the classics. Shakti Gawain creative visualization, right? Start with the new agey stuff. If you're doing witchcraft, Scott Cunningham, a good place to
Oh,
start.
gosh,
Personal
yes.
favorite, but certainly Starhawk. I could go on and on and on. But whatever, if you ask, my prayer every morning, and it is a prayer, I say, I accept that I have no idea how to fulfill my contracts in the role of the divine plan today, so I call upon the mother of all, the universe, and the pantheons of the divine to do it through me, for me, on my behalf, and let me not miss a trick, a tip, a hint, so that I can, at the end of this day, lay my head on the pillow and know that I did the best that I could, even if I don't understand. And at the end of the night, the closing prayer is, I am truly grateful and truly thankful to the mother of all the universe, my pantheons of the divine, for bringing to life my most fulfilling reality, whether I got my way or not, whether I got what I wanted or not, even if I don't understand it. Thank you for the love, wisdom, and power, guidance, and grace that you shared with me.
It's
that I
so
am now, and
important
so it is.
to start the morning and to end your evening with that, end your day with that.
But it is a surrender.
In your own words. And
Yeah.
you don't have to follow exactly what Mark says or what I say. Just allow that energy to move through you. And, say it out loud. Talk to your pillow. Talk to yourself. And just say thank you for beginnings.
And it's an active surrender, that sort of thing. It's saying, I don't know,
I don't
humility.
know. I mean, it's like when
Humility.
we do things, and this, a friend of mine wasn't feeling well, and she said, I did the at-home COVID test, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, so I'm home, she's a number of miles away, and I take out my pendulum, because instinctively I'm like, no, it's positive, and home tests are not, they are what
Not
they are.
100%.
So when I take out my pendulum, I have mine programmed that straight lines in any direction are a yes. Circles, whether they're clockwise or counterclockwise or no. For me, in my brain, that's very clear for me. So I always say, good morning, thank you, will you answer questions for me? Says yes, and I say, please stop, show me no, show me yes, just to make sure we're on the same page each day. And I ask, do I have COVID? No. Have I had COVID? Yes. And when I thought I had it, I did have it, at the very beginning of it. And then I said, does Bella have COVID? Da-da-da, and asking different questions, getting my foundation. And then I ask about this friend. Does she have COVID? Swinging yes like crazy. So it's not that I'm doing anything to it. It's the guides are coming through, and I use the pendulum as a tool to communicate. The cards, the guides come through Mark, and they communicate that way. Mark isn't picking the cards. When I do cards in my office with clients, there are times that one individual, she's just adorable, she'll be shuffling. I'll say, get your energy on and let's think, and focusing on what her issue is, what she wants to focus on that day. And there could be 4 cards that just like jump right out. And she goes to put them back and is saying, just leave them. Just leave it. And what comes out is exactly what she needed to hear, or what he needed to hear.
It's an energy read, like a thermometer.
So,
and speaking of which, do you want to do one more before we're done?
Oh, definitely.
I want you to ask me, what's the state of true love on the planet?
Okay. I'm going to go still
Because
point.
that's what they told me to do, so I'm going to do it. So ask me,
Still
really.
point. What is the state of true love on this planet?
True love conquers all. True love breaks all curses. True love is divine love in human form. So I call upon the collective pantheons of the divine for all involved in this show, whoever watch it, whenever they watch it. What is the current state of true love, whether it's between lovers, family members, planet Earth, Bob Marley, one love, one heart, fully manifested? Where are we on planet Earth? What is the state of true love? The Hermit. Let's get all of them on here, and I'll do them all at once. My goddesses, heart, throat, third eye, crown, please. We got the Hermit in the 8th state of true love, heart, throat, third eye, crown for all of humanity. The 10 of blades, which is different than the 10 of swords to an extent. I like that. Mythic tarot, my gods, please, still point and all. Lower 3 chakras, what's this look like from the outside? Looking in at humanity, the state of true love on the planet, the 9 of Pentacles, loving that very much. And finally, Ascended Masters of the path of true love, the hero's journey from human to hero to immortal.
Everybody's jumping.
To God.
Everybody wants in.
I'm also shuffling on my Virgo crossed-leg lap here. Ascended Master is the perfect healing mantra that we can all use a little bit, or a little bit, to manifest and anchor true love on the planet. Awakening, inspired action, there is only what life is asking of me. So check this out. See if this rings any bells. Now, I want you to think all of humanity. The shadow attribute withdraws from society out of fear or negative judgment of others. I'll cop to that.
Yeah.
Refusing to help those in need. I don't do that, but you can see that on the planet. Refusing to help those in need. The light seeks solitude to focus intently on inner life, serves personal creativity. It's exactly
Please
what
read
we've
it
been
again in
talking
case
about.
anyone missed it.
Sure. Oh, by the way, the Hermit here, the Hermit there.
Hermit.
Seeks solitude to focus intently on inner life, serving personal creativity. Well, what's going on in that internal life is the 10 of blades, the rattle, the passing of the talking stick, all of the different thoughts having the opportunity to be heard, all the pieces of the puzzle on the table so that you can have mental resolution to resolve something. I know, 10 of swords, rider waite in the back, horrible image, but this is a native ceremony.
It's an amazing image, because as I look at it, everyone is gathered around the female energy.
They're all women.
Yes.
Yeah.
And take a look at the
Here,
home.
at the camera. Show the camera.
Oh, and
I know.
am I in the camera? Okay. And the quote-unquote wigwam is also in the shape of the feminine, opened up, that her womb and her heart are open.
So very third eye pieces of the puzzle coming together. Crossing that on the outer is the 9 of Pentacles. It's saying, I'm good. I'm not at the 10, but I've got a nice solid foundation here, right? Lady of the Manor with the falcon on her arm, 9 of Pentacles, right? So it's not, yay, I'm in the money, but it's like, no, I'm stable, I am self-sufficient. So awakening inspired action, no matter what I want, life is going to have its way with me either way. You can't hack the universe through affirmations. Sorry, even spell work, even the high ceremonial, all that stuff. You can't subvert the divine plan. Even what we think of as our screw-ups and our mistakes, our sins and our wounds, are part of a larger plan. That when we croak, we go back to the Ascended Master Green Room. our dressing rooms,
I
take
love
off
it.
the costume and the makeup and go, oh my God, I'm an androgynous eternal being. So what are they doing down there on the planet now? We say we'll never come back. We say we'll
And
never
we
come back.
keep coming back.
And then they do, caramel and sea salt with dark chocolate. That's what pulled me back for
Is
this
that
time.
what
I'm
got you
pretty
back?
sure. Well, and being able to date men as a man without getting jailed for it was kind of a nice one. And that's why, as chaotic as it is, one of the most exciting times on planet Earth. So that's why I wore Malel of Krypton
There you
today.
go.
This symbol is a Kryptonian symbol that means hope, right? So a home of hope. Do make of me, as I will, so mote it be. But we have so many trust issues right now. So trust is the wood of the torch. Hope is the light. So if we can ignite that hope within ourselves just today, I hope to be my best, to do the best that I can, to heal, to learn, to grow, whatever that is, and may it be a blessing upon all of life, then I feel like we will be shown more and more of what is actually trustworthy inside, and then, of course, find it on the outside. Because there's only what life is asking of us.
Yeah.
And we can play along or not. I just choose to play along.
I play along. And hopefully our actions and staying positive and doing what we have to do. And I mean, at this point, we are quote unquote human. So we do have our frailties, so to speak.
Well, but the human is the egg. The hero is the caterpillar. The immortal is the cocoon. That's why so many of us are doing the hermit thing.
Yeah.
Even in the world going to work, we're still really focused on internal life and eternal life. But then the God goddess, the divine part of ourselves is the butterfly. And the Greek word for butterfly is psyche, where we get psychology from. So we're all butterflies. It's not exactly what I mean.
No, we're not all butterflies.
But we're in a process of awakening. But you can't be a caterpillar without the egg. Taking on an ego for however many thousands or millions of years we've been on this planet in different ways has been necessary for us to evolve individual personalities.
Yeah.
And the soul, we've always been that. So Natasha Lyons, bless you wherever you are, we're just big Russian dolls. Right? We're just
In those nesting dolls. Yeah.
That is who we are. And it's about integrating all of that. So the ego is not the enemy, but it's the child of the situation. And you can watch when someone's possessed by the shadow of the ego. It's real easy to see.
Oh gosh, yes.
But when hundreds of people do it simultaneously, horrible things happen. And yet it takes one shooter. See what I'm saying? It's like one person. Yet they are not separate from the rest of us. So what can we do about that? I don't have the financial or the political power to make that kind of change in the world in the yang. So I'm going into the yin every day.
Yeah.
Whether that's taking clients, doing videos, my own prayer, my own spiritual practice, my own healing. There's only one of us here, and there's only what life is asking of me. And that's my relationship to the divine, and the relationship to the divine within me. And that's why I love being on your show. Because we do hit some pretty intense bullet points that we don't know we're going to say.
We do.
And yet we're sassy old witches from way
Yes,
back
we
when.
are. Honey. We are. One of my new clients is a very rigid individual and was sent to me by her psychologist, who is a darling, darling lady, who's the one that asked me about the estrangement in this world. And she said, I'm sending so-and-so to you. And she drives a great distance to come to me, too. So you're here to see me. My name is Phoenix Redhawk. I do hypnosis, and she's very resistant to being hypnotized, very. And so we talked the last time she was out, and she said, well, how come you can't hypnotize me deeper? Is the finger pointing. And I said, well, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. And in case you haven't noticed, the reason you're seeing this therapist and your psychiatrist and that you came to me is because you have enormous control issues. So if you have enormous, you're so cute with your giggle. If you have
Because you got
enormous
paid to say that. I love that so much.
I got paid to say it. If you have enormous control issues, you are, when you're lying on that table and there's lovely aromatherapy and soft music playing, and you still can't let go, because if you allow the defenses to go down, you might see something, hear something, feel something about yourself and share it with me, which won't go any further. So when I said that to her, she said, well, my husband said that we can't keep coming out here. And I said, whatever, well, by the end of the time, she's coming back out in a few weeks. And I said, I gave you homework. You have to do the homework.
So is it the ego, the personality, the soul, or the higher self that controls? It's the ego.
It's the ego.
But if
Her
there's
ego-
only what life is asking of us, it doesn't matter. Life
And-
is going to have its way.
Well, with the thing that we talked, we only have like 3 minutes
Yeah,
left.
yeah,
So
go.
the thing with, she asked this therapist, she said, is Phoenix a witch? This woman is extremely narrow-minded and has ignorance, very bigoted, prejudiced, etc. And she said, she is who she is. Is she helping you? Does it matter if she's a witch? Does it matter if she's a Buddhist? Whatever. And I know she's itching to ask me. I said, if she asks me, I'm an open book. I will tell you, this is who I am. If you don't want to come back to me anymore for that, so it is. It's
Well,
okay.
isn't that funny? Withdraws from society out of fear of negative judgment of others.
Yes.
And that's what we're all looking at, because we all have that judgment.
Yeah.
But to know that underneath that judgment, there's a nugget of golden intuition that says something's off here. And
Yeah.
if we can do that,
She knows something's
move
off.
through. Yeah.
So, would you tell people, my darling, how to get in touch
oh,
with you?
very, very easy. On YouTube, the name of the channel is Drawing the Circle. On Facebook, Mark Angelo Lyons in Holbrook at the moment. On Patreon, the best career move I ever made. Patreon.com/Drawing the Circle. At the moment, we have humans, heroes, angels, witches, immortals, and gods, goddesses is my subscription tier. I'm there pretty much every morning in a bathrobe with a cup of coffee talking about the
That's
days.
some cup of
Astrology,
coffee.
I know, I always have my wonder mug. But we do, we talk about the daily astrology, and we always ended up with a prayer blessing something. So it's the best thing I ever did. I am full-time, I have been for a long time. I'm very happy to be here, and I love you.
I love you. I'm so happy you
Let's say to the people, we love you. I love you. There's the mantra, 3 words. I love you.
Yes.
To yourself, do your best.
And look in the mirror every day. Say I love you and say thank you.
Yeah.
Give thanks for waking up in the morning and give thanks for going to sleep at night and everything that you do in the middle. You know, you are the best you can be. You know, you have choices every day in just about everything that you do.
Up, and away.
Up, and away, honey. And don't say witch like it's a bad thing, because it's a really good thing.
The
My
witch
sister
that will
writes
make-
to me and she'll say, dear little witch, because she's much older than me. And I'll say, what's up, big witch, you know?
We'll just tell them I am the witch that will make you switch.
I will tell them
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Nothing like a rhyming
So
couplet.
you all know how to get in touch with me, and if you forgot or didn't write down how to get in touch with Mark, contact me and I will get you in touch with him. But for now, I'll ask everyone to just close your eyes and see yourself as a beautiful blossom. Sun is shining on you. There's a very light rain falling on you and around you, feeding your roots. Beautiful little dewdrops. And look all around you, there are flowers of every color, every size, every shape. You have been blessed with being a part of a magnificent garden. Tend to yourself and tend to the others. Taking a deep breath in, smell the essence and the scents of yourself and all of those around you. And so it is, and so it shall be. Blessings. And we're out, baby. I'm a